Clemency. That grand, noble tradition where presidents show mercy, right wrongs, and, if we're lucky, redeem a soul or two. Or, as it's often known these days, let me tell you who I really am, without saying a word. Enter Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump, two presidents with the same power but completely different strategies. One used clemency to add a touch of justice and redemption. The other turned it into a personal loyalty rewards program. Spoiler alert. Only one of them ends up looking like a real leader. Care to guess which one? Ronald Reagan. Whether you knew him as Dutch, the great communicator, or even the Jelly Bean Man, his legacy was unmistakable. He was a man who stood firm on his principles, dedicating much of his presidency to championing law and order. And clemency? Reagan didn't hand it out like free samples at Costco. He reserved it for those who demonstrated genuine remorse and took real steps to turn their lives around. Imagine that, using clemency as a tool for justice and redemption. What a novel concept. Take Victor Posner, a tax-dodging millionaire who turned cheating the IRS into an art form. Sure, Reagan pardoned him, but not before Posner paid hefty fines and promised to fund housing for low-income families. Because Reagan? He was all about making people earn it. Mercy? Absolutely, but always served with a side of accountability. And then there's Junior Johnson, a NASCAR legend with a colorful past. Convicted in 1956 for running an illegal whiskey still, Johnson's journey from backwoods moonshiner to beloved national treasure is the stuff of American folklore. Decades later, President Reagan granted him a pardon, not just as an act of mercy, but as a recognition of redemption and transformation. Reagan's clemency sent a powerful message. Turn your life around, and you just might earn a second chance. Trump's clemency for cronies, a traveling circus complete with get-out-of-jail-free cards for anyone who stroked his ego or covered his tracks. Grab your popcorn and peanuts, folks. First up, Roger Stone, convicted of lying to Congress and tampering with witnesses, basically obstructing justice with all the grace of a bull in a china shop. But don't worry. Trump took one look at the mess, called it a disgrace, and handed Stone a pardon faster than you can say quid pro quo, justice. Who needs accountability when loyalty is the only currency that matters? And then there's Paul Manafort. Tax fraud, financial crimes, witness tampering. The guy collected felonies like they were Pokemon cards. But don't worry. When you're Trump's former campaign chairman, prison isn't a punishment. It's just a brief timeout. Rack up enough loyalty points and voila. Full pardon. Turns out crime does pay, as long as you're on Trump's speed dial. Reagan pardoned people who actually showed remorse or put in the hard work of rehabilitation. What a boring, old-fashioned concept, right, Trump? He turned clemency into an exclusive VIP loyalty program. The catch? You had to grovel, kiss the ring, and sing his praises loud enough to echo all the way to Mar-a-Lago. And just like that, poof, your crimes vanished. Redemption? Please. This wasn't about second chances. It was about inflating Trump's ego to the size of Trump Tower. Justice? It never stood a chance. Now let's talk about January 6th. You'd think that after putting battery in their backs, telling them to fight like hell, and basically tossing a match onto a powder keg, Trump would stand by them when they inevitably got arrested. Loyalty for loyalty, right? Wrong. Once the riot was over, the only thing Trump stood by was the buffet table at Mar-a-Lago. Ah, yes, David Dempsey, sentenced to 20 years for assaulting cops with flagpoles and pepper spray, because clearly what the world really needs is more guys who think weaponized patriotism counts as meaningful conversation. Truly, a shining example of what humanity has to offer. Peter Schwartz, sentenced to 14 years for throwing chairs and pepper spray at police, because nothing says future role model quite like turning a riot into your personal WWE audition. Clearly, this is the guy who's going to inspire us all to reach for greatness, or at least duck for cover. Bravo, indeed. Guy Reffitt. Because who wouldn't want to pardon the guy so committed to protecting Second Amendment rights that he drags a firearm into the Capitol to threaten government leaders? Genius move. Nothing says responsible gun owner, like a wannabe Rambo with the impulse control of a toddler on a sugar high. Honestly, it's guys like this who single-handedly hand the government every excuse they need to tighten gun laws. Fantastic call. Trump dangled pardons in front of his base like a sleazy used car salesman pitching clunkers with great mileage to get their votes. But these weren't his real people, just expendable pawns. While they were getting slapped with decades-long sentences, Trump was living his best life at Mar-a-Lago, sinking putts and scarfing Big Macs. So, let's break it down. Reagan used clemency to right wrongs and reward genuine redemption stories. Trump? He turned it into a loyalty rewards program, reserved for cronies, conmen, and anyone bold enough to storm the Capitol just to stroke his ego. Redemption? Justice? Don't be ridiculous. This was all about who could grovel the loudest.